Greetings. It's Monday, November the 24th, in the infernal year of 2025. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column on the road, and this is the Monday Morning Report. Currently, I'm traveling, as are millions and millions of Americans, this being what we call the Thanksgiving week. Thursday is the American Harvest Festival, which dates back, well, long story there, I'll leave for another time. But this is going to be a short report, but it's mostly going to be about a few things that you need to watch and also a few things you don't need to watch and need to focus on. Anyways, a lot of people were doing a lot of brouhahaing about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, and her upcoming resignation. Because she didn't agree with Donald Trump anymore. And everyone's calling everybody a traitor. It's kind of weird. But nobody's looking at the timing, at least not many people. I wonder if it has anything to do with the pension she's going to collect. How many years you have to be in Congress until you collect your pension and your benefits, health care, all those nice fringies that you get when you get elected. And also, if you look at how much money she came into Congress being worth and how much she is now, that's interesting, but don't read into too much. Oh, MAGA's dying, Trump is dead, and everything. No, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Good old-fashioned, old-fashioned, let's just say, shall we say. The real important thing to watch, though, is Venezuela. Many people fail to realize that Venezuela is not just drugs or a left-wing government. It's a stabilizing force, destabilizing. Okay? Like it or not, the United States, ever since there's been a United States, has considered itself the owners of the Western Hemisphere. I know a lot of you in Central and South America or Mexico don't like to hear that, but that's the attitude that the U.S. has always had, the Monroe Doctrine. And a lot of people don't even know who Monroe is anymore. It's that old. Well, the Chinese, the Russians, said even the Iranians are in on this one. Everybody wants to subvert the South American continent and Central America. And the U.S., well, that's something that they usually agree on, whatever side of the aisle that you were rooting for. They're going to go in there. Venezuela went from being the richest country in South America to now the most poor. And it's all because of socialism and other ideas that don't work but are the fodder for feeble minds, especially among the electorate. The U.S. does not believe in democracy. Remember, the United States is not a democracy. It's not a democracy. That word does not appear anywhere in our founding documents. The founding fathers thought the idea was ridiculous. We're a constitutional federal republic. We elect people to make decisions for us. And much to our detriment, we don't realize that other people don't have that attitude. Anyways, the Trump administration is probably going to do what the Reagan administration did with Grenada, what the Bush administration did with Panama. They're just going to go in there like they always have and they always will, so long as the republic lasts. And they're just going to, well, in the words that were attributed to John F. Kennedy, if you don't like the country you're dealing with, change it. Now, Thanksgiving is an interesting time in this country. And for those of you who live outside the United States and follow my channel, you might have the hard time believing that when people get together, it's anything but peaceful. Talking politics at Thanksgiving is as American as turkey, pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce. It's going to be interesting this year. The only other thing that is more common are people who want to deep fry their turkeys. And usually there's a few houses that will burn down this coming week because of that rather strange custom. But I would point something out. Americans by nature are generous people. Our culture is based on generosity, even though there's a lot of us that aren't very generous anymore. Helping other people. It's part of our tradition. The United States was settled by people who were viewed as the scum of the earth of Europe, Africa, Asia. I mean, the Africans who settled this continent or were brought here as slaves, they lost wars. They were POWs. They were sold into slavery by their own people because they were hated so much. So everybody who's come here has come here because there was no other place to go. That's probably why Americans get so passionate about politics and get so emotional about it. Let's face it, we do. But Thanksgiving tends to be a time where we put it a little bit to bed. Yes, there's a lot going on in the world, including the possibility of peace finally breaking out in the Ukraine. But try not to let things get to you too much. Really, this is like take a breather, eat more food than you should, argue with your uncle about what's wrong with Donald Trump or whether or not the U.S. should go into Venezuela. And then after you go in and help put the dishes away, that's always the part of Thanksgiving nobody likes, is when you have to go wash up and, you're going to sit down. Probably a lot of them will watch American football. And then just over the weekend, eat the leftovers. Because America was also settled by people who didn't have food for the most part. My Irish ancestors came here primarily because of the potato famine in the early 1800s. That was a horrifying situation. Did you know that the character in Chinese for the United States, the Chinese characters, is Rice Kingdom, Kingdom of Rice, Kingdom of Food? What makes Americans different from the rest of the planet is food here is relatively plentiful, even though we argue about it, as was the case with the recent battle over EBT, food stamps. But do this. As we follow the headlines, and the news is not going to change, and we hear about the Epstein files, which may or may not exist or may not come out, or the fact that the person that shot Donald Trump was a lone gunman who didn't have an internet presence, even though there's a lot of evidence he did. Weird stuff there. Or there are those who are going to reminisce back to July of 2024 when the person who's currently in the White House got shot in the ear, but stood up and held his fist high and said, "Fight, fight, fight." Come a long way since then, and it's not in the best of places. Do what Americans are good at this coming week. Be considerate. Be considerate of others. Be generous. And hopefully, as the year comes to an end, a pretty strange year, to put it mildly, embrace the better angels of your nature. Something we need a lot of these days. Anyways, if I don't talk to you between now and Thursday, to all my American fellow countrymen, happy Thanksgiving, and try not to eat too much. Our ancestors usually didn't have the choice. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends and share with your enemies. Try to be a little generous with them, and maybe they won't be enemies that much anymore. I can be reached at feedback. That's AurelianColumn.com. That's feedback at AurelianColumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My handle there is AurelianColumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, clown world, the deep state, and all enemies of the Republic, as well as artificial intelligence, must be destroyed. Good day.